Hello, welcome back. It's been a while. I took a little hiatus. I got together a little office setting so I could kind of separate myself from the rest of the house and focus more. I want to concentrate more on creating content versus consuming so much content. So yeah, I have my little office set up here in a separate room. I've been getting unemployment for the past few months, and I've been getting a little worried about employment. So I went through a couple interviews, finally got an offer after months and months of looking. So we'll see how that goes. In the meantime, I do want to keep my channel going on the side a little bit, still talk about some of my stories. So I kind of went through the beginning, how it started, kind of what I went through as a child. Definitely came from low income, uneducated family, and as a kid was taking 15 pills a day. That did change as I got older. It decreased down to 5 and then 3, and then eventually they just have the 1 pill a day, which is awesome compared to 15. So it got better. That's just kind of how it started. I didn't want to miss out on that part. So one thing I did want to talk about was my first experience. My first sex experience was very awkward. And kind of to get myself there and to not have a conversation with someone about my status, I pretty much told myself, if I just have super vanilla sex my whole life, I should be okay. Always wear a condom, don't do no head. If I have a cut in my mouth, don't give head, don't receive head. If I'm just super safe and vanilla and careful, then I could still go on having sex without necessarily having to have that conversation if I wasn't comfortable enough with the person yet. That's kind of how I approach sex, but it was hard to find someone, especially like just growing up. I never kind of always shied away from relationships, even when I was younger. I don't know, I was just a little asexual, but I always tried or wanted it because I thought I needed it to fit in. Everyone else had relationships and this is what was normal with them, and like sometimes I would feel excluded from events just because I didn't really talk to guys or hang out with guys or give guys the attention that they wanted. Like I remember one time my friend invited me out to 4th of July fireworks. So I got ready and I was waiting for her, and then I was waiting for her and I was on the porch and I was waiting for her, and I realized she was never gonna come. What I kind of realized is that they got more friends involved, like guy friends, and they wanted girls there too, and I wasn't really the type of girl that you would invite to hang out with your guy friends to get laid. In high school, I wasn't really the one that you would call for that. So she never called me and told me that she wasn't coming. She just never came. So that was kind of a sad moment, but no matter how many situations like this happened growing up, I had no choice but to understand what the other person thought and felt and was going through, because no one I grew up with or knew went through the situation before. They didn't know how to approach it or talk about it. And I could only understand their fear, because if I was in their shoes, I would also be fearful to be around someone like me. Say you're in the same car with someone who has HIV and you get in an accident and you get their blood on you and now you have HIV. Of course, you want to limit the time you spend around that person physically, just for your own safety and your family and your loved one's safety. So no matter how many situations like this played out growing up, I really had no choice but to understand where these people were coming from. And that's like, I couldn't even be mad. I just had to understand. That's the sucky thing about it. Like I could never really be mad about it. Because if you put yourself in their shoes, I would probably be acting the same way. So I approach sex with, I'm just gonna be super safe and vanilla, and I didn't have anyone around to really talk about it with. So I remember I ended up just hooking up with someone that I worked with. And now I'm a firm believer in not mixing business with pleasure. It is not fun at all. Yeah, I end up just meeting up with him. It was a super weird situation all around, just the way I approached it and went about it. But he ended up like bringing E&J that night, and you would think he would like be a drinker of E&J, but he ended up puking on I ended up puking on I didn't really drink often, and then I'm drinking E&J. It was a bad night. Barely lost my virginity that night, and the rest of the night we were just puking. It was probably a good thing though, because he was a stranger. I did get to go on and have another kind of first time experience with someone that I actually knew and spent time like learning about. So that's kind of how it started. It's always been a little awkward, and I kind of went into it thinking I'm just gonna be super safe and super vanilla and always wear a condom. And there were never really any talks about how you would approach someone with that conversation. My doctor, back when I was younger, she put me in connection with someone else that was living with it, that was a little older and had more years experience living with it. But it was just kind of weird talking to her. Like, she acted like she never had any difficulty, and she was just like, boom, everything's so easy. And I'm like, well, okay, I don't know how to talk to you. Like, yeah, it's easy now that I've lived through the experience, but back then it wasn't that easy bringing it up and talking about it when men were just in such a rush, and then they get mad at you when you're not like rushing with them. So like now, like, just, you got to show that you care about your own self enough to get tested, get your partner tested. And I feel like it builds up more suspense almost in time. The more time you give it in passion, the more someone works for it, the more you know they want it, and the better the sex is going to be anyway. It's like, you don't want to be having sex with someone you barely know. It's usually not going to be any good, or at least the consequences are not going to be any good. One or the other. So that's kind of how I got into it. A couple other things that I wanted to talk about is kind of like the way that society like takes in porn. Like I had a conversation with a coworker like a couple summers ago. He said that his dad showed him porn when he was 6 years old, and that was the only conversation about sex that they ever had, and he pretty much got addicted to porn after that. I was horrified. I'm like, 6 years old and your dad has you watching porn? Like, I hope most men don't experience that. And like, I feel like kids like under 18 should not even be watching porn, same way they shouldn't even be smoking vapes. Like, if I can't put a vape down, a banana tasting, smelling vape, a kid's not going to be able to put that down either. So like, as parents, we do have to make that decision for them and block like porn sites. Kids should, like, people under 18 should not be watching it because it can be addictive. And this coworker said he got very addicted to it after that, and he almost just became a sex addict. And it was sad. It was a sad reality of how parents don't try to connect with their kids and have those types of conversations with them. So that's why I'm here, embarrassing myself, talking about my own life, and hopefully, making it less awkward for the next person to talk about it in theirs. And you might catch me saying some things, especially on my social media, that are just off the wall or weird or rude or even mean. Sometimes I say stuff just because I know it's going to piss one or two people off. So I'm sorry if you happen to be in that group of people, one or two people specifically that I'm trying to make mad. I'll post something just for them, just a little treat for them. And sometimes I can post something and only agree with it 50%, and you don't know which 50% I'm posting. So please don't take what I say and what I post so seriously. There is one thing about me: I love to learn, and I'm always trying to learn something new. And because I'm always learning something new, my viewpoint and my opinions are also always changing. So I might feel one way one day and it change the next day, or it change in 6 months. So please, you know, I kind of always feel like some people take my words and my opinions way too seriously, like they're gonna be law someday. It's like, yo, I don't have authority over anything. Like no one, nothing except my daughter and my cats and like my apartment. That's about it. I don't know why you're taking my opinion so seriously, but you should not. I have authority over nothing but myself, hopefully. So yeah, that's just a little bit about today, what I wanted to get into, a short video, just to kind of open up the conversation about sex, the awkwardness, get that out of the way. You know, my first time was horrible, and I just want people to take their time getting to know people. Don't try to impress people. Don't do something just because everyone else is doing it. And yes, that's a tale as old as time. But it's really not worth it, especially, you know, when it just takes one simple conversation, just some words, just throw some words out there, even if it, you know, doesn't feel right. Get the words out and you can organize them and make them pretty later. Okay? Bye.